Hello everyone, I'm Susan and welcome to Prana Life. Thank you for joining me for this class and I hope you are all doing well. In this vinyasa, we will be working on chair Utkatasana pose, flowing through different variations as we transition from the front to the back of the mat. This class will generate internal heat as we are building strength within the core. I recommend that you move in a pain-free range, resting when needed in your pose of choice. If you enjoy practicing yoga with me, I would be so grateful if you like this video and subscribe to my channel. So we will be starting in a wide leg child's pose, arms extended. Since I'm using the mic, I will keep my forehead off the mat as I'm cueing you into the position, and then when I'm done speaking, I will lower my forehead. So coming into wide leg child's pose balasana, you're extending your arms on the mat. Your forehead is resting on the mat. Closing your eyes here if you wish. And just starting to bring some awareness to your breathing. Inhaling through the nose, deep into the belly. Exhaling through the nose. Using that awareness on your breath to detach from any static or any lingering thoughts or feelings from today. Bringing awareness to your breath and just being present on your mat. Taking a moment to set an intention for today's practice, if you wish. Continuing long, smooth breaths. Inhaling through the nose, deep into the belly. Exhaling through the nose. Inhaling as we transition up into tabletop. And you will be inhaling again as you extend that right arm, gazing upward. Exhaling as you thread that arm for thread the needle pose. Forehead returning to the mat. Inhaling as we return to tabletop. One exhale. Inhale as we extend the left arm, gazing upward. We're continuing long, smooth breaths here. Just slowly warming up the body, bringing our focus to the mat. Exhale, threading the needle with the left arm, forehead to mat. Inhaling into tabletop, and we'll be lowering down onto our bellies, coming into 8-point pose, or what's also known as shoulder opening pose. Extending the right arm perpendicular to the body as we roll over onto the right hip and bring our left foot behind our right leg. Continuing long, smooth breaths here. Inhaling through the nose, deep into the belly. Exhaling through the nose. Exhale as you transition to the other side, extending that left arm, rolling onto your left hip, putting your right foot behind your left leg. Exhaling as you return to your belly on the mat. We'll be doing some baby cobras to warm our spine up. Inhaling up, exhaling down, inhaling up, exhaling down, inhaling up, exhaling down, inhaling into a full cobra, holding here for a few breaths. Continuing long, smooth breaths deep into the belly. Inhaling and exhaling through the nose. Exhaling as you transition into downward dog. First downward dog of the class. So moving your legs any way you wish. Just trying to bring some energy and warmth to the legs. As shared in other classes, I am on a really old floor, about 240 years old. So you will hear some creaking as I move through the flow in the class. And when ready, coming into a static hold with downward dog, continuing long, smooth breaths deep into the belly, just grounding through your hands and your feet for a few moments. Closing your eyes here if you wish. Inhaling as you step forward into a halfway lift. Exhale into a forward fold. Inhaling into an upward salute. Exhale into mountain pose. Inhaling into Utkatasana chair. Full even breaths into an engaged core. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, choosing a chaturanga vinyasa or stepping back into downward dog. Inhale as you step the left foot through the hands, rising up into warrior one. Full even breaths into an engaged core. Straightening that right leg as you pivot to look at the back of your mat. Lowering into warrior one. Full even breaths into an engaged core. Exhale, hands to mat, chaturanga vinyasa or downward dog. Holding in downward dog for 5 breaths. Inhaling as you step forward into a halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhaling into chair, Utkatasana. Full even breaths into an engaged core. Inhaling into upward salute. Exhale into mountain pose Tadasana. Inhaling into upward salute. Lowering down into chair. Hands at heart, Anjali Mudra. When ready, twisting to the right. Full even breaths into an engaged core. Exhale, standing forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Chaturanga Vinyasa or downward dog. Stepping the right foot through the hand. Coming into warrior two. Full even breaths into an engaged core. Inhale as you straighten that front leg, extending arms overhead, transitioning to warrior two in the front of the mat. Full even breaths into an engaged core. Exhale, hands to mat. Chaturanga Vinyasa or downward dog. Holding in downward dog for 5 breaths. Inhale as you step to the front of the mat for halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhaling into chair pose, Utkatasana. Hands in prayer at heart, twisting to the left. Full even breaths into an engaged core. Returning to center. Inhaling into upward salute. Exhale, mountain pose Tadasana. Inhaling upward salute. Exhale as you drop your arms perpendicular to the body, raising up that right leg, coming into a figure 4. Hands at heart. Staying here if you're trying to maintain your balance, or if you have good balance, lowering down into chair. Full even breaths into an engaged core. Exhale, standing forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Stepping back into Chaturanga Vinyasa or downward dog. Inhale as you step the left foot through the hands and transition into side lunge Skandasana. Hands can be on the mat for balance. If you have good balance, bringing hands in prayer, Anjali Mudra to the heart. Steady breaths into a lightly engaged core with this pose. Hands to mat as you exhale, transitioning into side lunge Skandasana on the other side of the mat. Once you have your balance, hands in prayer, Anjali Mudra at heart. Exhale, hands to the mat, stepping that right foot and leg back to Chaturanga Vinyasa or Downward Dog. Five breaths in Downward Dog. Inhaling as you step forward into a halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhaling into upward salute, but keeping your arms perpendicular to the body. Raising up the left leg. Coming into figure four. Hands in prayer at heart. Staying here if you're trying to maintain balance. But if you feel like you have good balance, we're going to lower into chair, seated. Full even breaths into an engaged core. Inhaling into upward salute. Exhaling into mountain pose Tadasana. Floor is creaking. Last round of the chair poses flow. We're going to be inhaling into an upward salute. Exhaling, arms perpendicular to the body, lifting up that right leg, coming into eagle pose. Right leg over left, right arm under left arm. Perhaps you stay here, maintaining your balance. But if you wish and you feel you have good balance, lowering into seated, full even breaths into an engaged core. Exhale into a standing forward fold. Inhale into a halfway lift. Stepping back into Chaturanga Vinyasa or Downward Dog. Inhale as you step the right foot through the hands, coming into a crescent moon lunge. Arms extended overhead. Steady breaths into a lightly engaged core in this pose. Exhale, hands to mat, transitioning to the other side. Crescent moon lunge at the front of the mat. Exhale, hands to mat, bringing that left foot back to Chaturanga Vinyasa or Downward Dog. Holding in Downward Dog for 5 breaths. Inhaling as you step forward into a halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhaling, upward salute, arms perpendicular to the body. Raising the left leg. Coming into eagle for this side. If you wobble and fall out of the pose as I did with the right side, just come right back into the pose. Left leg is going over the right. Left arm underneath the right arm. Holding your balance. And when ready, coming into seated. Full even breaths into an engaged core. Wobbling is okay. Falling out of the pose is okay. Just come right back into the pose and try again. Exhaling into a forward fold. Inhaling into an upward salute. Exhale into mountain pose Tadasana. Stepping forward a little bit on your mat. Placing your hands on your hips. Stepping the right leg over, or it could be your left leg, depending which way you're facing. Coming into a straddle, hands on hips. Inhaling as we exhale and fold forward, placing palms on the mat in alignment with our feet. Long, smooth breaths here. Inhaling through the nose deep into the belly. Exhaling through the nose. Inhaling into a halfway lift, your palms are on the ground. You're going to bring your hands in Yoga Mudra behind the back. And when ready, you're exhaling, folding forward again. Continuing long, smooth breaths deep into the belly. Inhaling into a halfway lift, returning those palms to the floor, walking your feet inward slightly, lowering down into garland pose Malasana. Spine is straight, extended through the crown. Continuing long, smooth breaths here, inhaling through the nose, deep into the belly, exhaling through the nose. Exhaling, hands to mat, transitioning into wide legs, child's pose, Balasana. Once again, your arms are going to be extended and your forehead on the mat. And as you rest in child's pose for a few moments, allowing your respiratory and heart rate to slow down, bringing awareness back to your breath. If your mind is jumping, trying to find that still space on your mat once again. Inhaling into tabletop, maybe walking a little forward on your mat, crossing your ankles, rolling back to seated, coming into staff pose, Dandasana. We will be coming into a seated forward fold. When ready, getting your peace fingers, reaching for your toes, or you can reach for the soles of your feet. And then exhaling as we lower down, continuing long, smooth breaths deep into the belly, inhaling and exhaling through the nose, letting those long, smooth breaths soothe our nervous system into a parasympathetic state, as we have longer holds and stretches on the floor. Inhaling as we return into staff pose Dandasana. We'll be scooching forward on the mat, putting our arms by our side as we lower onto our back. We'll be straightening the left leg. The right knee is bent, the right sole of the foot is on the mat. Grabbing your peace fingers once again. Your left hand can be either on your hip or it can be on the mat right beside your hip. As you reach for that right big toe and extend that right leg upward. Continuing long, smooth breaths here. Inhaling through the nose deep into the belly. Exhaling through the nose. If your mind is jumping, just keep awareness on your breath. Closing your eyes here if you wish. Exhaling as you lower that extended right leg perpendicular to the body, and your left arm is also going to come perpendicular to your body. Continuing to close your eyes here if you wish. Inhaling as that right leg extends upward again, and then bending the knee as the right foot returns to the mat. You have both palms on the mat by your hip. Straightening out and extending that right leg on the mat as you bend the left knee. When ready, getting your peace fingers for your left big toe and extending that left leg upward. Exhaling as you lower the extended left leg perpendicular to your body, and then the right arm is extended perpendicular to the body. Inhaling as you return that left extended leg upward, and then bending the knee as the left sole of the foot comes to the mat. Straightening out both legs and just shaking out the knees for a few moments. And then coming into happy baby pose, rocking back and forth, giving your lower spine and the back of your hips, pelvis a little massage. You may hear the floor creaking beneath me, 240-year-old floor. And when ready, just coming into a static hold for happy baby. Allowing those tissues to open and stretch. Transitioning into reclined bound butterfly, arms are extended overhead. Opening up that heart space, infinite source of love and wisdom. Eyes can be closed here if you wish. Keeping awareness on your breath. And when ready, transitioning into Shavasana pose. Closing your eyes. Softening your jaw. Relaxing your tongue. Continuing long, smooth breaths. Inhaling and exhaling through the nose, deep into the belly. Keeping awareness on your breath. Letting your body become heavy on a mat. As you relax and allow yourself to rest. Wiggling fingers and toes, starting to bring some awareness back to your body. Extending arms overhead for one big body stretch. Placing hands behind the legs as you rock back and forth. Giving your spine a little massage. And when ready, coming into easy pose Sukhasana. Spine is straight, extended through the crown. You're resting your palms on your legs, closing your eyes here for some centering breaths. Bringing hands in prayer, Anjali Mudra, to your heart. Holding gratitude for this time and practice on your mat today. Bringing hands in Anjali Mudra up to your third eye chakra. Peace and love to all universal beings. Honoring the sacred light in each of us. Bowing, namaste.